What? Say it again.
Let's get this show going, man.
Welcome to the Bleeding Burgundy podcast, a Washington Commanders podcast for fans by fans, with your hosts, Jesse Martin.
The Cowboys are finished, you understand me?
John Taman.
Pull down my trousers and do your job.
Scott Hartley.
Well, that was dreadful.
And occasionally, Keith Gray.
So many social engagements, so little time.
And now, your host.
Hey, everybody. Oh, hey, I didn't turn my camera on. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am John Taman. I am your host. This is the Bleeding Burgundy podcast. And I got to say, we're 6 days away from the fucking draft. And I am so goddamn glad because now we can turn the leaf on a whole bunch of brand new arguments to start up as soon as that's all over with. Yeah. Before we begin, I do want to say something, and this is something I didn't go over with you guys because I just haven't had a chance to talk to you about it. But I want to go ahead and say congratulations to one of our Commanders podcast family out there, Jamal, Dre, AJ, man, you guys at Trap or Dive are fucking killing it. Yeah. Some high class, high fucking profile guests. Congratulations. We're behind you. We give you all of our respect. And man, I'll tell you what, man, if you can turn it into what you want, I'm happy for you. Yeah, man, it's awesome. I mean, his podcast with Adam Schefter is getting run all over the media. I mean, ESPN has picked it up. NFL Network has picked it up, and good for him. It's cool to see the little guys get some love. They're not the little guys anymore, man. I'll tell you what. I'm glad to see it. Those guys do a good show. I like to watch it even before they got all big and famous. I like the way they break down some film. All right. Anyway, welcome to the show tonight. We've got a good friend down here on the bottom. Well, first off, let me start over here with my good friend Jesse. I'm always wrong when I point to the right side. Jesse, how are you, bud? I'm doing good. Good. I'd like to take this time to give a shout out to our buddy, Peter Chitlin. He lost his father. Peter Chilton, excuse me. Chili lost his father today. So our thoughts are with you, buddy. We're very sorry for your loss, and reach out if you need anything. Yeah, a whole bunch of people are here for you. Yeah, hopefully we can give you a couple of smiles today, on a dark day. Down here to my bottom left is our good friend from Barrow and Furnace, UK, Scott Hartley. Scott, you got me like a kid getting ready for Christmas, right?
Oh, I love the draft. John. Yeah, I'm looking forward to being on this pod as always with you three gentlemen. So yes. Sorry, see my dogs. All right, now down to our bottom right here is our good friend Tony Wheat. I say our good friend. I'm taking their word for it. Hey, nice to meet you. And he was like, "Oh, I hope my kids don't make any noise." Well, you hear our dogs immediately start as soon as we start talking. Tony, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, John. Nice
You're
to be
with
full coverage.
Full press coverage.
Full press coverage. My man George Carmy.
All right.
He's top man is George.
And I gotta say something. Yes, okay, listen.
Drive us crazy.
Tony, you're from Coventry, correct?
No, Chile. We just talked about.
Okay.
I'm from Stoke-on-Trent, which is one of the most glamorous places in the whole of the UK.
I gotta say something. You're probably the best looking British guy I have ever met. At least in our group, in our WhatsApp chat, man.
Really?
Tony is a handsome man.
Really?
Pretty low.
Then you look over to my bottom left, and then we got our guy Scotty. I mean, total just messing around.
Jesse's Castle wins was the over in the.
Okay. That's an addition to broken. So. All right. Well, I don't know what to make about all of that, although we've heard a lot of clues lately going on. I mean, we're coming up on episode 197 or so. Mm-hmm. And I think it's about time to have that conversation with your father, Jesse. Right. Anyway, we've got nothing to talk about, obviously, if we're going to sit here and talk about how good looking our guest is. It's been a long, slow drag, man.
He's a handsome man. He's a handsome British man. You don't see that. You don't see that often. I mean, he's got all this.
Come on now. Wow. It's a fairly low bar, to be honest.
We're glad to have you here, Tony. It's full of jokes and mishaps. Probably never want to come on the show again afterwards, but what the hell.
If you want to keep complimenting me, I'll keep coming back. That's fine.
All right, we'll stand up and turn around. Give everybody a twirl. Let's see how. All right. All right. So, okay. So why don't we just break into some football right away? The Commanders did something unusual this week. How do we feel about that? They had everybody in at the same time to go take them out to Topgolf and see what they could do. There's been lots of internet hubbub all about this crap because, people on the internet really don't have anything to fucking do. And I would just like to say to most of you, shut up and get my fucking fries. Anyway, Scott, what did you think of all that shit?
Yeah, I mean, for me, not really a massive big deal. It's different. I completely understand that it's different way of doing things. 22 prospects from, according to Albert Breer, all in one place. I think you need to do something like that as well because it shows that if you're close on these quarterbacks, you haven't really made that decision yet, and something's going to tip the balance. You need to understand what these guys are going to be like in the locker room, what sort of their leadership skills are like. Are they a bit of a diva? Is there things that you can you can go through to look and get really into the psyche and how the person is as an individual and also as part of a team. This happens regularly in any other walk of life for job interviews, things like that. You have to go in group sessions sometimes. Mm-hmm. What's the difference between this is basically at the draft a job interview for these guys. So what difference does it make? I don't really understand the whole, oh my God, they all went together. I mean, we can talk about agents in a minute and how that's all played out, but it's a bit of nothing, something and nothing for me. This.
All right, Tony, what do you got about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same. Well, thank you very much. Nice to say. Again, no, I'm pretty much with Scott on this one. I think at this stage of the draft process, we're all in the kind of like draft fatigue, noise. Again, but in the realistic process, at this point now, they've done a lot of they've done all the one-to-one stuff. They've had them at the combine, they've had them on the pro days, they've talked to them, they're allowed to speak to them on Zoom. So, from a football perspective, they'll know everything they need to know. I think this, as Scott said, is more around, and this is where it was kind of misrepresented by the sort of idiot fraternity like Florio, is that, it's nothing to do with seeing how the four of them interact together and how they get on and all this kind of stuff. It's everything to do with take them to somewhere like Topgolf and then, see how they interact with the public, see how they interact with, the waiters, the bar staff, the coaches, anyone else who's around. You get a feeling for what these guys are like as people. You might get a few clues on, how they just are as human beings. They know everything about what they're going to be like as football players now by this stage. So, and it's talked about as being something new and something different. But it's been reported, obviously, that Peters did it with the 49ers. I've read something else today that the Rams did it extensively as well. Maybe not
Belichick.
Yeah. So it's
it's just wasn't he saying so.
Well, Bill Belichick made him run an obstacle course. He was out there with a riding crowd. Get over there. Get over that goddamn hill, Jackson. All right, so Mike Florio, if you have any problems, remember that's the good-looking guy from Stoke-on-Trent that was just trashing you on our show.
Yeah, look, I mean, fucking Florio, man. It's like Tony said, they have all the information that they need. They've watched all the film probably numerous of times. They've had their Zoom meetings. They've had their one-on-one meetings. They just wanted to see them in a group setting, and they had one-on-one meetings during that process
on the day
too.
Yeah,
I mean.
Look, I've seen a lot of one-on-one videos, and every once in a while, you do like to get something in a group setting. It gives you a little bit of different flavor.
Yeah, a little bit of different flavors, whatever. But
Scott's turning red.
The facts of the matter is, where's this outrage coming from when San Francisco does it? Where's the outrage coming from?
They're expected to. That's a freewheeling city out there.
Like you would think after the fact that Snyder's gone, Josh Harris took over, Florio might just, pump the brakes on the fucking bashing the Washington franchise. But no, we obviously see that it's not. I have no issues with it, and I don't think anybody else should have any issues.
Look, it's a chance to see something that you cannot see on film and something that you cannot get in one-on-one interviews. How do you interact with your peers? How you going to act? How you going to be? I think it's a big nothing burger except I think it's actually a good thing that they did. I think it's an innovative thing, and even though
something different, it's something different.
It is, and I didn't hear any one of the players actually complaining about it. I heard one dumbass agent complaining about it, but I thought that he was. I don't know what the hell he's thinking.
Was he complaining about it?
Ron Brown, the Jaden
Or
Daniels.
was he complaining about Florio's? I haven't been on.
He was complaining that it seemed unusual to him. He didn't see how it made any sense, how it would help his client or anything like that. I'm like, well, dude, do you think fucking going on Twitter and bitching about the team that might make him a millionaire is going to help your client?
The agent should shut the fuck
multi-millionaire
up in this situation.
Well, he was saying that Daniels was expecting it to be just his visit, a personal visit. That was one thing I think that Schefter said this afternoon. Was that his team was surprised that it was that there were other people there and it wasn't just himself. It's interesting, as you say. We don't know if any of this has come from Daniels himself. It's come from his agent.
Yeah.
But, if there is any, and I'm at this stage of the process, I never really believe much of anything that I hear or read. But if any of it did come from Daniels, big if, then you could almost argue that this sort of bringing them all in together has actually served its purpose, because it might have smoked one of them out.
Sure.
If Daniel, and this is, I don't want to go down the speculation route, but
why not? We've been doing it for months.
But if Daniel's agent is acting on anything that Daniels has said or felt, then maybe he's tipped his hand a little bit for perhaps being little bit precious or a little bit entitled. I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe not.
Sure. You're absolutely right, Tony, and maybe that's why they did all this.
Did they not tell anybody? Did everybody? Exactly. Was it a surprise to everyone? Or just him?
I don't know. And again, it's what do you believe? If the agent's saying this to the media, what do you believe him or not?
Oh, dude, it's the agent. It's 2024. I believe.
And look, like Brian Baldinger said. If I was Washington, I wouldn't even fucking care what the agent says. The agent, if Jaden Daniels doesn't want to play for Washington, Jaden Daniels doesn't have a choice. If we draft him, we draft him. That's it. Players doesn't have any control. The agent doesn't have any control.
They can refuse. But that's not a smart move.
That's not going to happen, man. This is not going to happen.
I think even the agent saying anything is a nothing burger. By the way, when Brian Baldinger says it, his pinky sticks off over this way. I kind of like that.
Well, Rick Snyder said it tonight. I was listening to him a little bit on his 2 minutes thing, and he said, he's been doing this 46 years, and at this stage, it's just the agents. The agents talking. The agents talk to the media talk to the agent. They're all trying to get little bits of information. What's really pissing them off is there's nothing coming out of Washington. There's nothing coming out.
It's great.
There's nothing coming out of anybody. So they're actually desperate, and they're just making stuff up, or at least they're taking something tiny and trying to make it into something bigger than it is.
They never do that, though. Come on.
And you know what this is doing for the agents? The agent himself putting his name out there, because you don't really hear the names of agents. You could probably name maybe 5-6 agents,
right? Tom Cruise is one.
I was going to say I've seen Draft Day.
But you're getting his name. His name's getting out there, so it could all be that, man. I think it's hogwash. I think it's a nothing burger. And if I was Washington, I wouldn't really give a fuck what I gotta tell you.
Says. We have breaking news right here on the Bleeding Burgundy podcast. This just in. This email came in. Hey, who the hell do I need to talk to around here? Jaden says he did not get his swag bag. I sure didn't get a swag bag. In fact, nobody I talked to seems to know anything about swag bags at all. What kind of shit is this? Y'all going cheap this close to the draft doesn't look good. I want my swag, and it better be expensive. Sincerely, R. Butler, Jay Daniels' agent. So there you go. There's something for everybody to chew on for the next 6 days.
But apparently there was another agent I saw tonight that's, I don't know whether Daniels has 2 agents or whether he's linked to this other guy who tweeted fake news around the whole.
Yeah, it was Drake May. Was it Drake May's agent, that one?
Was it? I wasn't sure, but right, okay.
Oh, they're sticking up with each other. That's
so cool. Again, what do you believe? Just believe nothing.
Right. At this time of year, you believe absolutely nothing. And even if you see it for your own eyes, I remember seeing Laramie Tunsil with a fucking gas mask on. And now that dude's one of the best left tackles in the NFL.
That's the best draft moment of all time.
Somebody put out it was this morning, I think. I only got on social media I just didn't have a whole bunch of time to look at it today, but I did see a Laramie Tunsil tweet saying that it was Jaden crossed out Tunsil's name and put Daniels right there on the picture because he was trying to go trying to get drafted by the Raiders. I thought it was fucking.
Do you know what's
hilarious.
funny? To go off Tony's point though, with nothing's coming out of Washington, out of Ashburn,
Great.
nothing's happening at all. Isn't it great that you have adults in the room? I mean, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch the latest Commanders log that's gone on and dropped on their YouTube channel.
Dropped, I watched it. Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah.
And when you look at the adults that we now have in here, we have an all-star coaching staff. We have Lance Newmark in the room.
I really like that guy too.
Yeah, I do too. You have Josh Harris who's going out going, hey, well, hang on a minute. What am I going to have to do to try and get a stadium? I know. I'll get one of the top political aides that I can find. I'll pay for him. Okay, great. Now I can navigate the political world to try and get a stadium.
Absolutely.
Okay, what else do I need to think about? I watched the Super Bowl and the 49ers didn't really know what they were doing when it came to the kickoff rules. So maybe I'll get the guy who knows all about how to do the rules. He's now here as a senior vice president. We're surrounding ourselves with people. Exactly. He's got to be there. We're surrounding ourselves with people who are doing the right things and have done the right things, and we're getting really good hires. And because of this, journalists, analysts, shows, they can't fill column inches. There's no more off the field drama, which is amazing. And I mean, now, if you're a Commanders fan like me, like Tony, especially when you're abroad, seeing this, it's like, wow, this is amazing. I don't have to watch BBC News Ticker and see this is the latest scandal that's going on off the field. You just look and think, wow, this is pretty cool. To have an off season like this when you kind of fill with optimism and hope.
I'll build on that a little bit and tell you that it's not just that, because the Commanders/Redskins have always been the go-to for, these guys are ready to overpay for everything. Yeah. These guys are ready to drop a freaking mortgage on anything that moves. Right, because of the first, 10 years of Snyder's tenure there, all the way up until Albert Haynesworth. And then after that, we kind of went poor, but it doesn't matter. Every big dollar free agent gets linked to us. And so now all of that's gone. And you're right. They're so tight-lipped around here. I almost feel like it's, what the hell am I going to write about, says Tom Rivera? Let me find somebody's mother. He doesn't have anything to bitch about. Anyway.
It's besides free agency and the draft, this Josh Harris and Adam Peters and company, they're finding edges in other areas.
Yep.
That's why you're going out and getting your Eugene Shins. That's why you're getting a political advisor. That's why you're hiring straight from the freaking NFL, and you have everybody coming out and thought that guy was never going to leave, that they were surprised how good of a hire you're actually able to take that guy from the NFL head office and bring him on the staff. I mean, they're just finding edges everywhere that they can. And that's what's going to win. That's what's going to help win in the end.
Yeah. I mean, this philosophy that there's no salary cap for anything apart from players, and therefore you can spend money on those edges.
Yeah,
those little 1% that make the difference. There was a former English rugby coach that Scotty will know who used to talk about, the marginal gains, 1% here, 1% there. It all adds up. So that's exactly what they're doing.
Well,
absolutely.
The team nowadays and the game nowadays is bigger than the 53 men that are on the roster. It's so many people go into what that they're going to do. And it's a lot of teaching. It's a lot of analyzing. And I'm glad that we're finally on board with it. Speaking of edges, we got Shaka Tony back. So you know what that means. The first time he makes a tackle, we all stand up and thrust ourselves around and scream, Shaka Tony, Shaka Tony, Shaka Tony. I want everybody to do it so loud that the whole fucking DC area rings with it.
He's going to get
I thought you meant that we were all going to get good gambling advice, but that
I think that should be pretty good. No, I think he's probably not going to make the team, but
I don't think he will.
I think could have cut him before. Why didn't they cut him before?
Probably on some commissioner's exempt list or something like that, and I don't think you can get cut.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
I don't know. I think commissioner's exempt. I believe that he was.
Yeah, he was on the commissioner's exempt list. Yeah, that was right. But the other ones were cut. I think was there a running back or something from Detroit who wasn't cut as well.
There was a wide receiver from Detroit.
Oh, it was a wide receiver, was it? There you go. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, they ain't cutting that wide receiver. He's already back in the league, I believe. James
Well,
James
Williams was banned for, but he only got banned for 6 games, didn't he? Some of these other guys got banned for Shakatoni and Co.
Yeah.
There was another whose name I can't remember, but he was a free agent at this point. I don't think it's really
there was nobody big names outside of
not at all.
Yeah.
But apparently the actual thing, which we've got to probably not speak on, but we've got to understand how it actually works. Apparently, he sat on the plane when he made a few bets, and it wasn't on the NFL; it was on other sporting games through a betting app. I'm like, I get it, I understand, but
same thing. If I make bets at work, I can get fired. You know,
really?
And you're working on the taxpayer's dime. The thing about the gambling, though, man, is that it's a sticky situation for all leagues.
Look at that basketball player that got.
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. People, it's almost getting to the point where it's the annual tradition of people crying, wait, what about Pete Rose? He broke all his records. Right, and he broke the cardinal rule. People don't understand that if you let gambling get into your sport is fucking dead. Unless you like professional wrestling and think that that's real. But that's basically what it'll become.
Andy Burris.
Tell Burris.
It's real. Please tell me he doesn't.
Look, I mean, you're going to have stories, but I think overall, especially the NFL,
it's real to me, damn it.
The NFL has done a good job with the gambling policies, and I think it's going to be just fine. They're letting their players gamble just outside of work and not gambling on the sport, and that's the way it should be. And yes, you are going to have a couple of people trying to buck the system, but you're going to have that anywhere. I.e., my boss last week when he tried to buck the system, and got caught and got fired.
Well, if you've ever been down to Dallas, right? Jerry Jones, he manages to be able to get around this stuff by having cockfights out in the main common. So you can go and bet on that.
Yeah, I mean, next time I'm in Dallas, I'll go ahead and
get those DNA tests out.
Yeah. All right. So what the fuck else is there to talk about? Are we decided? Here's what we'll do. All right. First thing, let me do this. We did have the big freaking everybody come in. We talked about that. We're not going to talk about anybody's golf swings because that's going to bring up the whole argument between Jesse and Andy Burroughs as to who can play golf better. Scott, do you play golf?
Not at all. I'm best. The promotion sticks have never really been my thing, to be honest. But no, I like to sit in the. I'd caddy for a bit, or I'd drive the buggy, or I'd sit in the clubhouse. And that's about it.
Now you play golf?
So, yeah, I do pretty badly. My missus actually just got me a golf club membership for my birthday, which
nice.
It's putting me under pressure to play less badly, but it's probably not going to go well.
What's
Good
your
looking, and you got a country club membership.
It's not a country club. If you want to see it, I can promise you it's not a country club.
Well, hey, listen, it's still a golf membership, so
Yeah.
Andy showed us what he thought an English pub was, so maybe what he thinks a country club is a tin can at the end of the alley. He can try to putt towards. I don't know.
What's the golf like in Ireland, though, Tony? It's got to be pretty decent, surely.
Oh, unbelievable! Yeah, we live on the coast here, and there's 3 or 4 championship links courses, so it's just
I bet.
Unreal.
Terrible at links courses. We don't really have any real links courses around my area. We have some faux pas ones, but I'm not very good at them.
No, I played at the main championship course that's held the Irish Open a couple of times.
Nice.
And in 18 holes, I lost 14 balls, and I actually found 6 balls during the course of the round. So I actually must have lost 20 balls in 18 holes.
I need trees so I have the chance of them bouncing off of them and coming back and play.
I don't know about
you pretty much lost your ball when you hit it in the sea.
Yeah, that's true.
Hunt. That's what it is.
If it goes in the ocean, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's it. Hit and hunt. Go look for it. All right. So we did have the big everybody come in this week. So we're going to look at the top 3 reasons why this was a good idea. The media doesn't like it. Wario doesn't like it. Jaden Daniels' agent doesn't like it. So the top 3 reasons. Number 3, the critical chance to play Truth or Dare during the important slumber party. You don't often get an opportunity to do. So number 2 reason of the top 3 reasons why the Commanders multiplayer visit was important. The chance to observe players drawing penises on the face of the guy who falls asleep. You got this here. There's Drake May, and oh my God, look at
that. Jesus Christ, John.
All right, where were we? We were with number 2. All right, the number one reason why the Commanders' player visit was important. The coveted Andy Burroughs ball drag photo op, which you see here going with J.J. McCarthy. He gets his first, so there you go. I think that's why everybody thought that was such a bad idea. All right, well, anyway. Now we're back to not knowing what the fuck to talk about. So, all right, have we decided who we want at number 2? Scott, who do you want?
Yeah. I am still 60-40 Jaden Daniels, but
that's
I'm
a
not
pretty big margin,
way.
though. 60%,
20%.
That's a big
not
margin.
Really.
Yeah, I think it is.
To be honest, I don't.
49-51.
Yeah, that's very, very thin. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't. I think to be ready now to start. There's less to iron out with Jaden Daniels. I don't get this or buy into this this high ceiling, low floor shite. I just think you're either ready to play now or you're not ready to play now, and it's as simple as that. But whoever we draft is gonna play now. That is simple as that. But I don't think you can really miss on 3 of these 3, if not 4, if you include Caleb Williams. Probably Bo Nix and Jaden and Penix have got good careers as well. But I don't think we can really go wrong here, and we're in a strong position to do something. And whoever they decide to pick, I've got to trust it and back it. And
so
I think we can do that.
You're firm on Daniels.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was a Drake May fan initially, but
this is why it takes 10
I watched
minutes.
the tape. I watched the tape, and then you're like, actually, is it all about the receivers that Jaden Daniels had? Is it all about his movement outside the pocket and about his run ability? I don't think it's that much that bad. I think his feet match his eyes when you see him in the pocket. He can get every throw. So I don't see the problem with Jaden Daniels. But maybe it's only downside is the weight, the size issue. That's it,
buddy.
Obviously, if he was 6'4" and the size of Drake May, 230, that's sort of 240, you think to yourself, yeah, he probably might even be challenging Caleb Williams for the number 1 overall spot. Who knows?
Well, that's what the before this season, it was supposed to be Drake May and Caleb Williams, battling out with each other. I still think Drake May is he is still my favorite, the 51%. But again, Jaden Daniels, I'd be extremely happy with him. I'd be extremely happy with J.J. McCarthy, to be honest. And I know that's not a popular opinion, but I would be. I like J.J. McCarthy's game, and I'd be perfectly okay if they took him at 2. I still am leaning towards Drake May, though. I think does he have some stuff to work on? Absolutely, yeah, he does.
Who does?
But so does Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I'm not saying.
I think this he needs a city year. Nonsense is a lot of smoke. There's a lot of nonsense. Drake May, whoever he gets drafted to, he's starting right away. Period.
Yeah, I think. Well, definitely Peters has made sure of that. That no matter what we're going to do, that's the thing that he's going to go with. I would think. Unless they're just blowing smoke with that. All right. So Tony, what do you think? Have you made up your mind 100%?
I thought I'd made it up, and I keep changing it. It's kind of. I was a bit like Scott in that. Drake May came into the season with all the hype, and obviously he wasn't quite as good this year as he was last year in 22, playing in a different offense, playing with different players. Obviously he lost a few of his, I think it was Josh Downs was his key man who he lost. And Daniels obviously had a phenomenal season. Some of I think his percentage of explosive plays and some of the stuff, you watched the Florida game and it was just utterly ridiculous. But yeah, I keep flip-flopping. I watched all the tape on them, and I keep watching it, and I watched it again yesterday. I'm on a show on Sunday night where I have to take the Commanders pick, and I still can't.
You don't know who you're going to pick yet, do you?
I still don't know. I keep changing my mind. I think
flip it. That's what you do.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm the same as you guys. I would be happy with either. I think that May, and I hate talking about flaws and ceilings, but I think that what you saw from May in 2022, if you can get anywhere close to that on a consistent basis, you know, it might take him slightly longer to get there because he's only played a couple of seasons. You know, Daniels has played 55 college starts. That's, you know, you hear people say, well, he was a one-season wonder, but I mean, you know, realistically, he played pretty well last year as well. He just, you know, it wasn't sort of mind-blowing stats. This year he really came into his own. But yeah, I thought I was set on Daniels a couple of weeks ago, but I think I'm edging closer to May again. But what's really interesting for me is just the views and opinions on these guys are just all over the map.
Oh yeah.
You know, particularly May. I mean, Daniels seems to have, you know, sort of solidified, and you know, it seems now that if you read the majority of the media, it's, you know,
the consensus
Daniels,
is definitely
it's going to be Daniels. But May, the May stuff is just all over the map. I mean, you know, I listen to the Athletic podcast a lot, and Nate Tice and Dane Brugler are both like great mate, top man. I think one of them, I can't remember which one.
So is Daniel Jeremiah, Daniel Jeremiah as well. Yeah. He's very high on.
They had him as his number one guy, the number one guy, I think, and Jeremiah is the same. But then you listen to some of the other media guys. I mean, I know Chris Sims is a little bit all over the map with some of his analysis and some of his picks in the past. I think I'm trying to think of a couple of guys that he said were top rated, but you know, and he said that he's a developmental project. He's nowhere near. He had him as his number 6. So it's wild. I mean, these guys are all supposedly, you know, either ex-players or coaches or analysts or, you know, experts, and they've got May in particular, all over the place.
I think, honestly, the fact that the Commanders haven't said anything is really driving them crazy. And that's, I think, been kind of the same way all up and down the top 3 or 4 or 5 teams that are interested in quarterbacks. Even with the Bears and Caleb Williams, I think that is assumed the number 1 pick. I don't think the Bears have ever actually come right out and said, "Hey."
No, but I mean, they're picking.
Like it's the best guess that you can make. But in all of it, it's just a guess. I think it's much more of a combination of things. We seem to, and in this conversation still, we perpetuate the same thing where we kind of lay it all on the player. This guy's pressure to sack ratio, this guy's this stat for this guy, this stature for this guy, or this, you know, stature for that guy. And the coaches have a hell of a lot to do with it. The stability of the organization that he's coming into has a hell of a lot to do with it. Whether they can protect him has a hell of a lot to do with whether or not he's going to even be able to learn. All right. Because we've seen quarterbacks that come into the league and, you know, we label them busts, but what got busted was their fucking skull. You know, they take 60 sacks in a year or they get just blown away. So I think
landing spots, everything.
I think we have a good combination here. And I want to go back to one other thing we were talking about. Hang on a minute. Let me get Scotty in.
Yeah, his internet.
Scotty, we were just talking about how you were voted the 3rd smallest penis in England. So congratulations.
The 3rd? Only the 3rd, John.
3rd smallest. Apparently there's been
a penis, but smaller. Anyway.
So the thing about our coaching staff, what we were talking about earlier, is that, we've brought in a lot of good players on the edges. I mean, in terms of coaching, we brought in a lot of good coaches and a lot of good outside front office guys on the edges that can help us do these details. But when we've got coaching like Cliff Kingsbury, all right, which we've all said, and Scott, I think you mentioned it first, was that they could be poached. You know, we do well, they're going to get poached. He's a former head coach. He's definitely going to be looking at it again. Well, they already hired Brian Johnson. Right, they've already got guys coming up behind these guys. They've got the next.
They
did a great job in these hires to be able to bring the next generation in, so that when
Pritchard,
same as these free agents, man. You look at these are outstanding free agents. My God, Scott G. Me and you with these linebackers, brother. We are right on top of that shit, and we know exactly what we want. I have been waiting for this for so long. Scott's sending me pings every time we sign, even a no name. We even call up a linebacker and say, "Oh, wrong number. Sorry, we were trying to get a hold of you." Right? And Scott pings me, "Hey, man, linebackers. Well, look who we have now. Look at this staff we have now. We've gone from nothing to an actual formidable linebacking core, I think, that if they're coached right, which I assume they will be, based on what I've seen out of these coaches already, they can dominate, but they're only on short-term contracts. They're going to build this out of the draft. They're going to keep going and keep building these guys. And as these contracts, like Frankie Luvu, comes due, and it's time for him to move on, we should have somebody coming in. That's the way it works, and you have to have a long-term plan. which I think we've never, ever had. And with that, I'll leave it over to you, Jesse.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've been, pounding the quarterback drum for months now, and thank goodness it's over because I'm fucking tired of talking.
Oh,
about
hell
it.
yeah.
Like our buddy Scott G in the chat, QB talk is boring, tired, fall asleep. It's almost over with. Thank
God.
We do have breaking news. Speaking of Scott G,
whoever it is, whether it's either Drake or Daniels is probably going to be picked. That's it. And then Twitter can fight about something else. How many nose hairs? How many nose hairs they have? But
the argument would be they picked the wrong one.
Yes, exactly. If you're on the Daniels camp and they pick May, they fucked it all up.
But it's nice to see. And did y'all watch the press conference yesterday with Peters and Newmark? It was great. I know we had our mock draft on the show last week, and we got some shit from old Scott G about not taking 2 offensive tackles. And I just want to say, I hope you guys listen to that. Your first 100 picks, because Peters and Newmark basically, reiterated our point is. Those picks right there, those 6 picks in the top hundreds, those are going to be role players. They're not going to be riding the bench for a year. So they have such an opportunity to, and maybe not all of them will work out. Chances are not all of them are going to work out. But your first 3 rounders, man, they're going to be playing. They need to be. They have to either a starter or a rotational type of player. I'm giddy about seeing what they do with these picks, especially round 2. Whether we move up, which I think that's going to happen, and we're going to lose a little bit of capital. I'm hoping we lose more capital next year than we do this year, because I still think there's a lot of holes to fill. But we're not going to be able to solve the offensive tackle problem all in 1 year.
No.
And I think it would be silly to start 2 rookies with a rookie quarterback.
That's going to be stupid, especially because you're starting a 3rd one behind them. And that goes right back to what I was saying about how you got to build this thing and how it all has to mesh together. You can't just So the thing about the right tackle for me, for anybody that missed this discussion, was Scott wanted to pick a right tackle in the 3rd, based on the mock draft that we had. This is all speculation. Yeah. And to go ahead and shore up behind Wiley and bring his replacement on. And I don't disagree with the thinking. My only disagreement with the thinking there is in the 3rd round of this year, you got to get somebody that's going to contribute right away. I don't want somebody, and with dollars and cents playing a part of it, Wiley's making a lot of money. And this guy's only going to be on a 3-year contract. So you're going to have a limited time after you let him sit for a while to figure out whether he can play. If you're going to draft that right tackle, bring him in next year and he starts right away. And Wiley, fucking road. Yeah. Let's see. We do have breaking news regarding Scott G. Scott, please pay attention. This came into our offices today. Let's see. Scott G. calendar shoot. Dear podcast, I am trying to reach regular listener Scott G. since he has not returned any of my emails. Scott, we need you to confirm your availability for the Men of North Dakota 2025 calendar. The other 11 men in North Dakota have already accepted. It is now up to you. Sincerely, the North Dakota Boudoir Photography Society. So, hey, Scott, I would suggest you get a hold of your publicist, and the other 11 guys are.
We love you, Scott.
I do, man. Scott's all right. Scott's been with us from the start. That's why we picked on him. All right. So, what do we got left? All right, 2nd round. What do you want to do? What if we trade back immediately? Because everything's smoke and mirrors. And what Peter said yesterday about we're very comfortable at number 2. What if that's smoke and mirrors? What if we're willing to drop back, go ahead and pick a left tackle, and then maybe pick up Penix? How would you feel about that?
I don't see that happen. I think Peters was absolutely dead on serious. I think they're juggling either Jaden, if they haven't made a decision already. If you believe him saying that they haven't made a decision already, it's either going to be Jaden or Drake. They're at 2. They're going after their quarterback, and I just don't see that happen whatsoever. The question is, what is it going to take to move back up into the 1st round? That's the question. And where are you going to do that? I think we picked what Guyton. Do you remember, Scott? What pick was that?
It was Guyton.
Fourth round.
Was it? It was in
because we traded back into the first round.
We traded back in again with Green Bay, didn't we?
It was like 27.
20, yeah, 27.
In the third,
Tony, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah,
day two?
I would look to trade up if it's doable. As you said, it depends on what the ask is, and that's obviously the higher you go up into the first round, the higher the ask is going to be. I mean, I saw a scenario today where I think it was the Rams at 19. Mm-hmm. They said obviously the Rams haven't had a first round pick in years, and it wouldn't be the most surprising thing if Les Snead decided to turn that into a couple of picks. If you get to 19, you're probably pretty much in the sort of, you may even be in the Marius Mims sort of range. You're probably in the Guyton range. Mm-hmm. I think you have to probably, if we want a left tackle that's going to be able to start straight away, and you have a great deal of confidence in that, you probably, even Mims and Guyton, they haven't played a great deal of football. They have they've got great tools. I mean, if you're going to trade into the back end of the first round, and you're looking at sort of some of the other guys like, Sue Matea and Jordan Morgan and guys like that, are they realistically going to start day one, or are you're going to have to go down the Cornelius Lucas for a few weeks route?
On Jordan Morgan, because you mentioned him, I've heard more and more reports that he is more likely going to be a guard and not a tackle.
They said that on The Athletic this week as well.
Yeah. So that was one of the places that I saw. So I know that we brought him in for a 30 visit, didn't we?
We did, yeah. We did.
So
the interesting one that's getting the late buzz at the minute is that was it Rosengarten? Roger.
He's a true right tackle, I think.
He was apparently started out as a left tackle, but Washington moved him over to the right side because of Penix being a lefty.
Oh, okay.
He's already got that tangibles of being a blindside protector. Then, so if he can do it on the other side, I've seen some people saying he's going to go third in the third round. I've seen people say he's going to go the top end of the first.
Yeah.
I mean, he is an absolute mystery, that guy, where he could end up. But
you can't, in my opinion, you can't go picking him to be your left tackle if they made him a right tackle to guard the blind side of a left-handed quarterback. All right, there's been so few left-handed quarterbacks, really, and you've got to, if we're going to go for a left tackle, it's got to be a true left tackle, and I want him to start as fast as possible. Yeah. So, like when Scott and I were discussing last week, Scott G, that is, about this right tackle, one of the arguments was that the right tackle would sit 6 to 8 weeks or so while he learned a little bit and while he took over for that. With our left tackle, is that something, if we're trading back into the first and we're looking at a guy like Guyton, which was our pick, is that something that we're looking at? Lucas being able to start for 6 weeks? Can Lucas start for 6 weeks? Are you comfortable with Lucas for 6 weeks?
I'm comfortable with Lucas being our swing tackle, and that's about all I'm comfortable with Lucas doing, to be honest with you.
Right. Well, I mean, the swing tackle means somebody gets hurt. He's going to be in there.
Yeah.
So
you've got to be prepared for Lucas to play, but at the same time, you've also got to try and, I know we want to win, but we've also got to kind of look at the bigger picture. And if we're going to bring in, realistically, are they going to be contending this year? Probably not. So, and I think that the way that they've set this thing up, if you go back to looking at the free agency, they're clearly building the foundations before, building the rest of the house. So I think if you're looking at the long-term view, there shouldn't be too much of an issue with bringing in a guy like Rosengarten or Sue Matea or one of these other guys and having to sort of work on them for a little bit. If you want somebody, if they're committed that they want somebody who's going to come in and start straight away, you're going to have to trade into the middle of the first round and give up a lot more capital.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like from their words yesterday, they're talking like, hey, these first few picks and these first few rounds, they're going to be out there right away. They don't need to be on the bench. The Suda Matea, I think if you got Lucas in there for a couple of weeks, I think we should be okay with it. I just don't see a world where we trade up into the first round, get that Tyler Guyton or whoever, and then in your third round pick up another right tackle and sit him on the bench for the rest of the year. We don't have to get everything done in 1 year, you know.
Absolutely not, and that's. I think they've said that. I think they've already made that clear. I wouldn't. I have no problem with drafting 2 tackles in the first 3 or 4 rounds, but you can't expect them both to play. You know, I would. Well, I certainly wouldn't expect them both to play at this stage. So.
No, that's what I mean. I think these top 100 picks, they're going to play whoever they are. That's why I think they're going to go a different route. You know, like to me, what they did in the offseason kind of proved to me that they're sticking with Wiley. You know, throughout this season. You know, they're just going to eat it, and he is a veteran. Because you're going to have you're going to have a youngster starting at left tackle. You know, if they do draft one. Which they are, you're going to need another veteran on the other side. I believe. I just don't see the point in using one of these high picks, these first 3 round picks, on a player that's going to sit a year. You know, come back next year.
We don't have that kind of luxury right now. We don't have the guys in front of him that can be. I mean, if Wiley, the reason that we want to replace Wiley is he sucks, right? Yeah. If he was a decent player and we could afford to sit a guy back there, then you can take a chance like that. You can go ahead and do that because you've got a stud there. But in my opinion,
they didn't get any tackles in free agency. That's why that's they're.
So do we have any lines on who might be June 1st cuts?
I think it's interesting, first of all, that they didn't sign a tackle in free agency. Because, you know, they could have signed Tyler Smith. They could have signed some of these guys, and you know, if they'd really desperately wanted to sign a left tackle, they could have.
Is there anything on? Is there anything on the second wave of free agency? Maybe Bakhtiari if his medical checks out.
I wouldn't touch Bakhtiari with a barge pole.
It's going to be expensive.
Yeah, you know that something could happen. Somebody could get cut.
It's possible. That's how they ended up with Charles Leno.
Exactly. Yeah, all these moves are obviously going to happen after the draft because all the teams are waiting to see who they get. You know, and then they can cut bait, and maybe that's what they're banking on as far as I just don't see 2 young offensive tackles playing this year.
It all goes back to the draft philosophy of are they going to look to trade up? And if they can't trade up and they're left at 36 and 40, are you then going to pick the best player available, or are you going to pick a need? Yeah. If you history has shown so often that if you're picking for need, you reach in and it ends badly. You know, if the best player available at 36 or 40 happens to be they've got a defensive lineman there, say they've got someone like Nealand, or if there's a corner there that they like and he's the best player on the board, you take them.
Well, the good thing about it is we have needs everywhere. So whoever that player is, we're probably going to need them.
Exactly.
Throw the dart anyway.
I was gonna just ask you. I was gonna just shout, put a question out here to try and keep it ticking along. What do you think then is the most underrated need, if you want, for this, or a sneaky need that we're not even thinking about? Is it wide receiver?
Yeah, I think people are discounting our wide receivers staff and thinking that we've got exactly what we need and we can survive another year without. No, we don't. We've got some good receivers, but they're all smallish and they're all basically the same thing. We need, dude. That's why when
I don't think it's a top priority, but I could see pick 72 or something.
Yeah,
third
losing
round.
Curtis Samuel was you look at the number of touches he had last year. So I agree with John. You're looking at a bigger receiver. So it depends again who's there in the draft. But you've got guys like Leggett and Coleman and some of these bigger bodied guys. Leggett is what is he? I've got him written down. Leggett's 6'1" and 220. Coleman 6'3", 213. Some of these bigger bodied guys to complement McLaurin and Dotson, who obviously are smaller bodied guys. So, yeah, I think receivers is a need actually.
It's funny. I think the only 2 positions that we don't really have a need in is defensive tackle and linebacker. Now,
weird.
The irony of that, yeah.
And maybe safety. Possibly safety as well, but. Cornerbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive line, quarterback, wide receiver, every other position. And so wherever we pick in the draft, there's going to be a player within that range, within a couple picks.
Yeah.
For the best player available at a position of need, which I think that, that's probably the route that they're going to go if If they can't find a trade partner, and they don't, and there's not a tackle at 36. And remember, we have 36 and we have 40. So
yeah,
we got ammunition to do pretty much whatever we want to do. And I'm sure somewhere in the 20s, there's going to be a team that will be perfectly content moving back and picking up some extra capital.
I think the trade that was mentioned with the Rams for 19 was actually giving them 36 and 40 to move up to 19.
I don't want to my other two.
That's a lot.
It's a little bit rich, but if you don't do that, I don't think they're going to take one of those and a third round pick necessarily. You might.
I give them 36 next year's two, and
I was going to say you might have to dip into next year. Yeah,
our third round pick this year. A second round pick this year, third round pick this year, and a second next year. I do that to go.
Yeah, I suppose the one guy we've not mentioned from the tackle point of view is Patrick Paul. Obviously his brother's playing for the team. I know that's not going to sway anything,
right?
But he's another guy who's at that sort of back end of the first round, second round, mid of the second round conversation. So, would he be ready to play again? It's debatable, but he's played a reasonable amount of college ball there. So
big, huge. He's like 6'7". Oh,
they said his wingspan is ridiculous. So it's possible there could be somebody there, but I really think that it's going to come down to, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but on the night, how the draft board is starting to pan out, who's available.
Yeah.
If it gets to the middle of the first round and you've still got like Mims, Guyton, those kind of guys. I mean, you have to assume that that Alt, that Fashanu, Fatanu, all these Fs I can't get my head around. Fashanu, Fatanu, Fuaga are all going to probably be gone by then.
Yeah.
But if one of those guys slips down a little bit and you've got Mims and Guyton still available in that middle part of the round, you've got to have a serious look at trading up.
I also think, like, how many quarterbacks are going to go in the top 15? How many wide receivers too?
That's exactly it.
Like someone's going to drop, whether it's a cornerback, whether it's a top half of the first round offensive tackle. Somebody is going to start slipping. And then that's when they should try to make their move. They slip in, get around picks 17, see who's on the board, start making phone calls right then and there.
Well, this is totally mad because for months and months and months, we've all talked about Fashanu is probably going to be the number one tackle. Then out of everywhere, it's Joe Alt. Then it's solidly it's Joe Alt all the time, and everyone's like,
Joe Alt, that's fine. And Fuaga is like they're.
That's what I'm saying. And now they're like that. And now people are saying Fashanu's going to be maybe down to about 12th. And I'm like,
maybe even later than that. I've seen some mocks, not mocks in our dumb fan mocks. I'm talking about serious mocks of him going in the early 20s.
Yeah, I saw one today where he's 15 or 16. So he's definitely, considering he was going to be the number one.
Yeah.
He's definitely plunged a little bit, but.
Yeah. Was it Latham? Another good one. I mean, I strongly think there's going to be one of these guys that starts slipping because there's a lot of receivers that are going to go. This receiver draft is outstanding. Oh my goodness, there's just so many. Like the first 3 rounds of receivers, even 4 rounds of you're going to be able to find a good receiver in the first 4 rounds of this.
Do you have 5 QBs going in the first round?
I do. I have obviously Williams, May, Daniels, JJ, and Penix going in the first round. Nick's, he could very well go in the first round.
Bo Nix has to feel pretty bad. He didn't get invited to the slumber party or anything.
Yeah, you've got to think that one of Nick's or Penix is probably going to go somewhere. Whether it's like Penix to the Raiders. I mean, I've seen Nick's mocked to the Broncos a few times because he fits.
Who's built to handle a left-handed quarterback right now? That's the thing. There's a left-handed quarterback throws a big difference into what you're already done with your offensive line. And where are the Raiders in that situation right now? So when you got Penix coming out as a lefty, man, that does add more questions to what it is that you're doing. Frankly, if we drafted him, dude, I wouldn't want Wiley protecting his blind side. Are you kidding me? He'd be blind in half a season. He'd yell on the street selling pencils.
What's interesting, what's a big factor in all this is Minnesota and what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've loaded up to move up in the draft. So whether they move to number 3, or if they can't come to an agreement, they're either going after, I think, Drake or going after JJ McCarthy.
I think we should leave the phone open. Let's.
Well, I mean, they might do, but I think that Elliot Wolf, the Patriots sort of de facto GM, has said that they're open for business at 3. So the Vikings have got the opportunity to come up to 3 if they can put together something that's acceptable, and even 4. I think the Cardinals would probably do the same. So
I don't think they would.
I'd be surprised.
With Marvin Harrison on the board, I don't think they would move out of 4.
Well, yeah, maybe not. But I mean, some teams apparently have got Neighbors or Odunze ahead of Harrison, depending on what flavor of receiver they're after. Now,
this week you've been reading whatever's been put out, right?
Yeah, it just depends what you're into. There's differences in all those receivers. So I think there's a real chance that the Vikings clearly, as you said, Jesse, want to come up. So it's just if they can put the package together.
Well, the Raiders want a quarterback too. They definitely want a quarterback. They want Jaden Daniels is who they really want. I mean, what's his name?
Pierce coached him, didn't he?
Yeah. He coached him. So he's already made that known that he'd like. But I just don't think there's going to be a chance of them moving up. They don't have that much ammunition unless you give up the first next year and the year after that. I think Minnesota's in the prime position to.
Well, they've got 2 first rounders, haven't they, this year?
Minnesota does, yes.
11 and 23 now. The Vikings have got.
Yeah. Did they sell their next year's draft pick for that first?
They may have. Who did they get 23 from?
Houston.
Was it Houston?
I can't remember the terms of the deal. Yeah,
I'll have to have a look. I'll Google it now.
But see, with these quarterbacks and these wide receivers, like we were saying earlier, it could create a log jam. What's going to hurt is there's not very defensive players. There's some good quarterbacks early, first round cornerbacks, but there's not that many good edge rushers. You might not see an edge rusher off the board in Dallas Turner.
Atlanta seems to have been heavily linked.
Like him, but then Chop Robinson is now being talked about of going at the end of the first round, maybe early second round. Then you got Darius Robinson as well too. So it might kind of even out, but there's just a ton of these receivers that are going to go. Hopefully a lot more. The more quarterbacks and receivers go, the better it is for us.
So the terms of that trade, Jesse, were they got the number 22 pick and 232 from the Texans for number 42, number 188, and a second round selection 2025.
Oh wow! So they got their next year. They have their next year's number 1.
So how does our next year look right now? Are we sitting on anything extra, or are we just on our regular 7?
I think we have our regular setup. We don't have anything extra.
Yeah, I think we're on.
No, I think we got an extra one from the Steelers, which was to do with
Steelers.
The Montez Sweat and the Chase Young ones are this year, aren't they? So
it's a 6th round. It's a 6th rounder next year from the Steelers. Don't know how.
I just wonder on the receivers if outside of the top 4, so the 3 that we all know, and then Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
I just wonder if there's a chance that because there are so many of them, that they might get pushed down a little bit because teams think they might be able to get a good one later. It may not be the case.
What do you think of Lad McConkey?
Good player. Receiver. Very good player.
Dude's got fucking amazing footwork. He's got ridiculous.
I think he'll go to KC back end of the first round.
To Tony's point, though, I think the draft class is so loaded with them. I mean,
they could split for sure.
You could, but then you're going to have a log jam of receivers in the 2nd and 3rd round, and that's good for us as well too.
Well, you know what? When we were doing our mock, that's what I was arguing for in the 3rd round. We had Leggett sitting right there, and that's
I mean, why take one early in the 2nd when you can take one early in the 3rd? Who's probably
right?
Pretty much
especially when you got talent like that sitting there, or potential like that sitting there. I don't know if I speak for anybody else, but I will be glad next week when we can stop saying things like people are talking about. We can start talking about things about people are talking about how they might play rather than where they might be drafted.
Sure.
True.
All right, so I'll tell you what. I'm going to throw it out on the floor right now. If anybody wants to bring up anything else, we are nearing 60 minutes. And as we know, Scott will get back. But even though I just pick on him about it.
I'm going on vacation next week.
Where you
Thank
go?
Goodness. I'm going to the Outer Banks Bike Week for the annual trip. Looking forward to that, getting away from this fucking hellhole and work for a while. So even though I have to have my computer and my phone on me at all times, which kind of sucks. But
now, Tony, I don't know if you realize this. But the Outer Banks is a set of islands that are off the coast of North Carolina, where we in the 1800s used to take all of the mentally infirm and we put them all out there. But they made it back, and they turned it into the state of Georgia. So, that's just how that shit goes. I do want to go ahead before we go away and say one thing to a friend of ours, a very famous friend of ours, who we know who he is, and I'm not going to have to mention any names. But he is going to be going out to the draft, and he's going to be probably on television because he is the international television sensation. I would like to see a Bleeding Burgundy podcast button on you, sir. And I would like to say to you that today, of all days, we have had in the news an old man falling asleep in public and cutting farts. So we don't want to see any of that coming out of you. So be very careful about where you fall asleep this year at the draft, Mr. Keith. And dude, I just got to tell you, the fact that we have a former president farting in court is just making me happier than shit.
You also had a man set himself on fire outside, which is just mental.
Welcome to the United States of America, boys.
Didn't Trent Baalke, the Jags GM, fart in the middle of a press conference as well today or yesterday? Just carried on talking.
Really?
He apologized. I think he was chatting away, and then he farted, and then he just carried on as if nothing had happened. Yeah, I think he did it and then apologized, and then just carried on.
I just
carried it off.
It was a chair. It was a chair.
Speaking of farts, if you go to about 4.5 minutes in our interview with F.A. Obada, he tried to cover it up with a cough and went,
"You did."
He did. I didn't. He did. He just went. It's about 4 minutes in.
You're on the Bleeding Burgundy podcast. You don't have to cover up anything. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to, we invite you. Please go ahead. Bust your ass as much as possible. As a matter of fact, you said you have a 9-year-old and 7-year-old upstairs. I bet they'd love to play a game of Pull My Finger. And we
I play it with my daughter regularly. She loves it.
There you go. There you go. My son is 27. He still fucking does it. No, he knows what's coming. All right, then, unless I don't know what we're going to do for the draft next week. We've been kind of kicking it around. What I want to do is come on right after our pick so we can see what Scotty wears to bed, because he's going to be sitting there in his little footy pajamas waiting on the TV. It's going to be 1 o'clock over there in the morning.
No, it's start. I think the draft starts for us, Tony, about 1. Is it? Is it the start? Is 1?
Yeah, first pick's usually about 1:30. I think it finished about 5 a.m. last year. So 2 years ago, I was in Florida, thank God, so I was able to watch it at normal time. But
luckily, you can go to bed pretty early because we.
Well, I don't think so. We're going to trade. Well, I think we're going to trade back in. So my issue this year is that my missus is away on business in Oman next week in the Middle East, and I have to get up for 7 o'clock to get my daughter to school. So I'll probably get about 2 hours sleep, which is going to be entertaining.
Sick day.
You get her out to school and you fall back down.
Oh yeah, no, I've already booked the day off work, but
nice.
It's just to getting up, drop her to school without falling asleep, and then getting back into bed. Part of the routine.
When we have night games, either Sunday night games or Monday night games, I always take the next day off of work. I can't do it. Can't do it.
Not me. I work right here.
Well,
I commute all of about 35, 40.
My alarm clock goes off at 3:35 every morning, and I'm out the door at 4 a.m.
Wow.
And so
are you an early morning radio host?
No.
No, it's if you see a set of
swing sets, kids are coming.
I was going to say, if you see a set of swing sets,
I got to tighten them loose bolts, man.
That's
I got to tighten them loose bolts.
In Southeast Virginia, there's absolutely no seesaws that creak at all.
Yeah.
Hands on top.
I got that PV blaster in my tool belt.
That episode of King of the Hill where Hank's can of WD-40 wouldn't work, so he popped open his pocket and got his smaller can of WD-40. That's my man. All right, then.
So Tony, where can we find you, man? You're all over the place
you?
right now, and I want to say congratulations on your newest venture coming up on Sunday too.
Oh, where can you find me? Well, at Tony J. Wheat. I think I wrote it on the bottom of my handle there. I'm on Instagram somewhere. Tony Wheat 10, I think I am on there. So, anywhere there. Do stuff with Full Press Commanders. Write some articles. Occasionally appear on the odd pod. So, just generally come and find me.
Yeah, we also need your social security number and your address.
I'll send
your bank account details.
I'll send that on to you after, Jesse. Yeah,
you can look at pair of good-looking guy in Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah,
that's what covers it.
Well, he's not there, so that's good.
How dreamy Jesse has. Look at him. He's
listen. I've never seen a British lad so beautiful in my entire life, man.
I mean you got to think about it.
When I'm friends with Burroughs and
Harley and Scouts.
Yeah,
Harley and Scouts.
It's a low bar. Sorry, lads.
What are you trying to say, Jesse?
Scouts and Burroughs are just catching some strays. They're sitting at home. Andy's probably got his new girlfriend. Hey, listen, I'll be on this podcast. Listen to this. He's probably sitting there with it like, that's what he's doing. Let me find him. There he is. Oh, right. Go in this podcast. These people love me. Watch, listen. And then we go ahead.
Scouts just come on there. I'm not in Stoke anymore, mate. I'm in near Dublin.
So Scouts, you've gone cruising in Stoke. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh. We need a whole new different podcast for that one.
100%. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, let's do that. Oh shit, did I lose connection again?
No, I can hear you, John. You're there, but just
every time I move, my I don't know, my USB port's coming loose or something. So
it looks like your camera went out. But your venture this Sunday, you're going on with Jeff Reinbold, right?
Yeah, there's a Pro Football Island over here. It's a pretty well established site now. A guy called Mike McQuaid does it, and they're doing some kind of they're calling it the People's Draft. So I saw there was a press release for it a couple of days ago, and then he messaged me on Twitter and said, did I want to do the Commanders pick? So apparently I've got to record some kind of video.
Cool.
And it's been hosted by Jeff Reinbold, who's a guy that appears on the Sky Sports NFL coverage in the UK.
We had him on the
sounds like a communist thing. I don't know. The people.
No, he's a good guy. He's from.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome.
People's Draft. You got to draft Mao or anything like that?
I don't know. I'm not sure who I'm supposed to take.
CCP.
I might just take JJ McCarthy just to really annoy Scouts.
That'd be like getting blackjack table and taking a hit when you're not supposed to. They hate that shit.
Yeah. So no, it should be fun. Yeah, it should be fun. It should be a good night.
No, definitely send out that link when that happens, and we'll put it out there on the social media world.
Will do.
Yeah. And so for everybody else here, I am forgetting also to put on our theme music to get us out of here. So there it is right there, so we can.
Our buddy Scott D had asked a question earlier. Let me see. What is my draft night menu since I'll be on vacation?
Possum.
I got meals planned out. So Thursday night, I think, is going to be barbecue.
Ooh.
Carolina.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Dude, I'm going to tell you this. I was out the other day. All right. It's one of the first nice days of the season. Okay. And I'm driving down, and every weirdo in town comes out. When it gets nice, all right, you guys have noticed this. People, freaking weirdos come out, right? So I made like a 15-mile drive. There's an old guy in like almost a pair of Speedos and nothing else, just sitting on the guardrail, sunbathing. On the side of the fucking highway. It's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? So then I'm maybe another 5 minutes later, this other guy who's walking down the highway with the fucking backpack on his hand. I mean, he's like David Banner, being pursued for whatever. Well, he holds up traffic for a second and runs out between everybody out into the fucking median, just the two yellow lines, and grabs a dead possum by the foot with a paper bag and goes running off the road. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Only in America.
It's in goddamn Southern Maryland, boy. Let me tell you something. I found me a possum out there, Raylene. Go ahead and get your barbecue going. Goddamn right. Anyway, so
are we going to do a show next week?
Yeah, I would think we have to. We got to do something about the draft coming up. I mean, look, we've only got 6 days left to go ahead and speculate about what might happen on Thursday night.
So Thursday night, we'll get on at.
I was going to say, do you want to Thursday? I don't know if you want to do on Thursday, live.
That's what I'm saying. Just live during the pick, half an hour, half hour, like we did last year.
All right, what are the odds they're going to commercial right as we're getting ready to pick?
Last year you got on last year with Forbes, Scotty. It wasn't too bad. So,
all right, well, we'll see what happens, and we'll do that. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We'll go live during the pick, and for anybody that wants to join us, Jesus fucking Christ, man, get a life. Anyway, that's about all I've got.
Tony, thank you for being here and handling our madness.
Thanks, guys. I enjoyed it. It's nice to have a bit of madness in your life.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for the soul.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. We will see you sometime next week. We'll see you right as we make the pick, as it happens, live on the Bleeding Burgundy podcast.